Hey, it's Denton Guam here with the Dare Network, and today we're going to talk about the real estate market from a national level. Now, we got a lot of numbers. We're going to talk about a lot of great things. I'm going to go over about 8 different data points that we look at. Of course, if you have any questions and you want to know about your specific market, you can always reach out to us and we can do something specific to your area, your zip code, your subdivision. All right, so let's jump into it. First, let's kind of talk about some numbers affecting us on a national level in real estate. And you kind of already know these. First one is employment. Now, unemployment is at an all-time low. Right now, it's trending around 3.7% unemployment rate, which is awesome, unbelievable. Everybody's got jobs. The government would like to see that around 6%. So anything below 6, we're good. So that is positive going into this next year. 2, GDP. Now this is a big one. I'll be really short on it. But basically we want to be at 2% GDP. What does that mean? Well, that's consumer spending, consumer confidence, also spending on major corporations as well, right? Gross domestic product. We are projected to be at 0.2. Now I know what you're saying. We're in this recession, and you are correct. The last 2 quarters were a negative growth, but it looks like we're going to end up being a positive growth by 0.2%. Again, that's 0.2 of a point, right? So not bad, not great, but still in the positive. Now, these last 2 are the big ones, right, that everybody's talking about. Number 3, inflation. Oh my gosh, right? Who wants to talk about inflation? We are tracking somewhere between 7.5 to 8.2% inflation. That's gone up quite a bit, as everybody knows. And everybody is trying to do everything they can to make sure we can suppress that. We don't want it to get any higher, as we all know, with gas prices, bread prices, etc. Right? Well, with inflation coming, we also have a rise in interest rates. Now, here's an interesting thing, right? I won't go too in depth on it, but the rise in interest rates are meant to combat the rise in inflation. In theory, the higher the interest rate gets on homes, the lower inflation will get. So that's kind of why we needed these rises. Now, do we want this big of a rise? In January of this year, rates were 3.45. Today, November, they're getting quoting around 7.1, depending on who you talk to, right? That is an almost double increase in interest rates. Now, what does the future hold on that? I can't tell you, but I do think we're still going to see it kind of level out and still creep up and maybe go back down. But it's probably going to stay in the 6s, in the 7s. There's even rumors it might go into 8. So you really just have to watch it. I think it's fluctuating a lot over the next 12 months or less. All right. So now how all of those affect actual real estate? Well, let's talk about it. National home sales for 2022. Last year, just to kind of give you an idea, we were at 6.1 million home sales in the United States last year. That was the 6th best year in all of real estate. 2022, it looks like we barely are going to get to 5 million, 4.9 million in sales, which, don't get me wrong, that is still a great year, relatively speaking, to the history of real estate. However, if you go from 6.1 to 4.9, it is the 2nd largest drop in home sales in a year time frame. The biggest drop was in 2008 and 9, I believe, or 9 and 10, where it went from 6.2 to under 5 million as well, right? So that's what everybody's feeling when you say the real estate market is slowing down. Now, inventory, that's been a major problem over the last 2 years. Where is that now on a national level? Well, month supply of inventory is measured at 2.3. That means that every home in America would be gone in about 75 days. Right now, it's tracking about 2.5 right there. So this year, inventory is still low. It is creeping up, by the way, and we're starting to see specific areas, and that's why it's so important to see specific areas and specific price points that are actually reaching 5, 6, even above 6. Now, what does that mean? Well, above 6 means it is a buyer's market, and the favor is in the buyers, right? But nevertheless, inventory is moving up. I would like to see it personally between 4 and 5. I think that's healthy. I think that's a good market for everybody. You can still find some great deals out there, but I'd love to see that. But right now we're trending 2.5, right? Now the other 2 pieces, and we'll get, of course, to the one that everybody asks prices here in a second. But days on market, where are we at days on market? We are still trending at 19 days on market on a national level. Now, don't get me wrong, that is a static point that we took. Right now, I'm already hearing 30 days, 40 days are starting to be the average days on market. So again, that is moving in the direction of increasing days on market, right? Obviously, increasing inventory, increasing days on market, increasing inflation, increasing interest rates. You can kind of see where this is all headed. And last, how does that affect my pricing? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can give you some facts and some numbers. January of this year, the median sales price in the United States was $354,000, really, really high. It got to $414,000 in June of this year. It's only been over $400,000 twice, and that was May of 22, June of 22, $414,000. Now, I know everybody's saying the market's going to crash. I don't think it's going to crash, but I do think there's going to be some adjustments, right? September, right? We don't have October numbers yet, but September, the median was $385,000 in the US. So what kind of drop is that? That's a 7% drop over those few months, right? But if you remember, in January, we started at 354, increased to 414. That's a 17% increase. And then now we're back at 385, and that's a 7% decrease from June, right, at 414 at its peak. Where is it going to be? I think maybe you're looking at 10%, maybe 15 max, right? And again, this is so specific to the area. We are getting a few areas that are leveling out. You know, they're kind of staying there. We have a few areas that are dipping, right? We definitely don't see many areas going like this anymore. So for a fact of the matter, we definitely hit the peak probably June of this year. I know that was a lot of numbers. And if you like access to those numbers or even more numbers that you can see, I have everything. I can email it to you, send it to you in a PDF, and go super detailed on your area or just the market in general. So now, should I buy, should I sell, should I invest? This is probably the number one question I'm getting now. Matter of fact, it's always a question that we get no matter the market. And my answer always is, well, it depends on your situation. For example, if you're renting, I always think it's a great time to buy if you can afford it, right? There's no reason to keep renting, right? If we do the math, your net worth goes down dramatically negatively, where if you go and buy a home, it increases dramatically, right? So if you're renting, yeah, it probably is most likely a reason to go ahead and buy. We want to sit down and talk, though, just on affordability and area and what we can do. Investments. I have a ton of investors right now wanting to park money. Now, that's for a couple of reasons. One, over the last 2 or 3 years, the market's been so great, a lot of people have cash on hand ready to invest. Matter of fact, I've got a couple of clients with 7 figures sitting in the bank, and they know that every time it's sitting in the bank, it's dead money. It's losing money against that inflation, and they rather put it into investment, even though the rates are 7, sometimes 8% on investment properties. And I always say this, back about in the 80s, I think interest rates were in the 12%. I can't remember the time frame, I think it's the 80s, right? But I'm pretty sure if we were in the 70s or 80s, we would all buy as many properties as you possibly could, even though the interest rates were at 12, 15%, even sometimes 17%, because we all know 40, 50 years later, how much would those properties be worth? That's right. It's just the rate. Really, the purchase is the most important. And I think that's what you want to really consider, is just look at your situation. Let's see if it's the right move, right? If you're moving up, that may be a chance to make a little less on your home, but get a really good deal on the move up price, if that makes sense. Well, if you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us. Again, I'm Denton Aguam with the Dare Network. Thanks for watching.